Welcome back, everybody. Here we are for another chess match, and it's actually against the same guy as the last video, and both of these games are happening at the same time. One of us was white, one of us was black. We had two games going on in correspondence, and just kind of making moves as we could in each game as time went along. And so in this one, I'm down as white, and well, let's just get right on to it. So I lead off with very generic stuff, and he wants to try some French defense on me, and I decide, you know what? I'm just like the theme of last game where I did this weird-ass pawn thing. I'm like, let's do that again. Because I know this move is bad. I don't care. I just want to have fun. So I'm just going to mess up everything that you want to do and just be really weird. He doesn't care what I do. He just responds accordingly. And I figure, you know what? If I just take, it's kind of awkward, kind of ugly, kind of weird, but that's why I did this, so I get a C pawn out of the way for a center pawn. That seems positive enough to me. And at this point, I could take it, brings out queen, I bring out, take, and then his queen has to go around somewhere. Who knows how that all plays out. But I've done stuff like that in the past, and then obviously it leaves me with this one isolated center pawn here, and I'd like to keep both adjacent pawns alive for now if I could instead this time. So make a little bit more of an active move, I suppose, and just push that pawn, knowing that I can rush the queen pawn up there to defend him. I can have my horse defend him all the way up there as well. In a major pinch, my queen can go up there and defend him. So I got three different ways to do it, and for the moment he's also preventing this horse from developing too. So he responds by attacking it with his horse, and I'm going to respond by pushing my pawn first, just to solidify that center. It's still being defended for now, but it's not very comfortable without having this C pawn to back him up. It does feel risky for the moment. If my queen has to attend to other matters, then something in the I'm not even going to make that joke. Then he's hanging at that point. So thankfully, at least I'm just one horse move away from getting both of them taken care of. So I push up there to defend. And then he decides that he wants to go right after it, just to mess this all up and leave me with my isolated pawn in the middle anyway. And then I have to kind of think about it. If I opt in for taking it, he's just going to take it right back with tempo by grabbing it with the horse, and then this pawn kind of sucks. If I let him take it, and then I take it back with the pawn, to keep at least having the opportunity for adjacent pawns here, his horse is still on there and my horse isn't, so I'm going to end up losing it anyway. So I opt to try and prevent that from happening by attacking his horse straight up. And I fully well figured he just brings the bishop right on out, but then maybe I make the trade just to save the pawn. He ends up not blocking it or removing the pin with his bishop though, and goes straight for the pawn capture. And I didn't really know how I wanted to play with that. Do I want to just take it right back now and then see how I have to try and defend it? But I didn't want to give him a second chance to defend this horse. So I go straight for taking it with my bishop to force him to double his pawns up and get this weird looking like reverse semicolon thing going. I don't know what that is. It's kind of Obviously mine is not exactly ideal either. There's lots of open space. Once again, just like last game, I have hardly moved any pieces, but at least in this case, it's been because they've all traded with pieces he's moved, so neither one of us really has anything going on. The game is essentially considered equal at this point. And so he opts to attack it with his queen, and also pin the pawn to the king, which will prevent him, or allow him to bring his horse out here, as I won't be able to take it. I don't know if I realized that yet at the time, because I'm just developing my pieces, defending the pawn at the same time, and allowing me to castle in here, and he makes the obvious correct play to pin that as well, so that I'm not defending it after all at this point. But I want to keep that defense of it by putting my knight on the other knight. So he could he have taken it with the queen at this point? Yes. No. Technically, because if he takes, then I take his queen, he takes my queen, and his bishop is kind of hanging out. He did get a pawn for it, but it's ugly and weird, and I don't think anybody really wants to get involved in that type of game. So technically he could still take it, sort of, if he wanted to opt for a trade. But he chose not to. He chose to bring his horse out while he had the chance, and I need to break this pin this weird, this pawn pin ASAP, so I can try and take that horse after all, solidify my position as well. I think I'm up one pawn for the moment. Quick math, yeah. I'm up one pawn at the moment, and he also has these double pawns, so 1.5 pawns. So if I can, stay safe and trade away from here, I'll be okay. He takes this opportunity now to move his horse up since he knows it's now under duress. See if he can't attack these guys, mess up this defense here, and come away with this pawn at the end of the day overall. But this horse is guarded by the bishop. I'm still guarded over here with the queen, so there's not really like I'm going to lose the knight overall. It's really just the fact that they're trying to defend this pawn. So I defend the pawn by furthering my tempo and developing another piece. If he wants to trade, fine. I still have pieces out here. He would only benefit me at that point if he wanted to do so. And he decides to ignore the pursuit of this pawn at the end of the day overall and go after this nice, ripe-looking, vulnerable square, attacking it with multiple pieces over here, and leaving me some thinking to do. So the only thing I can really do in order to defend that right now and alleviate the pressure is just put my queen on it. I'm not really planning on taking this knight anyway, especially not with the rook. Obviously I could with my own knight, because that's going to allow his pawn just to come right down over into here to recapture it, and then as long as this pin is still going on, that's really ugly. I don't want that to happen at all. So my bishop is defended, so that's okay. This square I now have a couple of pieces on, so that's okay. This guy is defended. This guy is defended by 2 pieces, 3 pieces technically, but this and that. And there's no longer anything attacking here. So once again, it's kind of a cluster. It's kind of ugly. I need to start not doing that to myself. It'll probably help in the future, but for the moment, I think we're surviving. So he just makes a standard developmental piece. He's going to want to castle, which will get an additional rook on this file as well for just some more pressure, and then there'll be a lot of pieces attacking here, a lot of pieces attacking here, and then other ways of attacking other minor stuff on the flanks, and just all sorts of bad stuff. So I need to take this opportunity now to try and force his bishop out of here. I don't think I would want to push the g-pawn, so he's probably just going to retreat anyway, and keep all that pin action going. But maybe it'll just be my time to start taking pieces and alleviate some of the pressure that's going on. But he opts an interesting move. And instead of castling as I expected, he comes after me with his knight. So it attacks my queen. I can't take it directly because my pawn is pinned from his queen, so it's completely safe sitting there. And it's just very curious. It does remove one of the threats on this square, since now he's attacking different squares entirely. But I do have to move him, so moving him here obviously is no good. Here, I don't know. Some of these squares aren't that good. And I actually intended to go here to offer up this trade, see if I can't reduce his progression down my side of the board a little bit. It also helps to break the pin, still remains defense of both of these pieces, and that's actually what I wanted to do. So if we look at this here, the computer thinks I'm up 1.5 pieces, or 1 points, and by moving here that I lose almost all of my lead, which seems interesting to me. I'm not quite sure why that's considered really bad. If he just takes with the queen, then I take right back with my rook. I'm still defending this knight. There's no more threats over here, and that actually would allow me to be attacking his knight and his bishop with my pawns respectively. He could only save one at a time. So that seems really interesting to me why the computer doesn't like that. Instead, what I accidentally did was I misclicked down over to here, which the computer thinks is even better. So from 1.3 up to 2.1 versus 1.3 down to 0.2. So somehow I'm not sure. So if there's somebody who's really good watching this, please let me know why this is considered 2 points better, even though it just further reduces my my feeling on the board and my defense of my own pieces, and I'm not attacking his developed guy either in a position, or in a game I should say, where I'm up in material. I don't quite get it, but that's what I accidentally did, and I felt really crap. I'm like, man, well now he's probably just going to go right back with the horse, and I'm going to go right back here, and he's going to go right back there, and then I'll move properly. I'm like, that'd be cool, right? But he doesn't play that way. He just, I guess he got tired of waiting, or he didn't want to run 1 square away, it would have been really safe just to run 1 square away to the edge and keep the pin going. Again, I still can't take this knight over here. So that just seemed interesting to me that he would alleviate all of that. And now that I've got this open file, he can no longer castle to the king side, which was big for me. I was glad I was able to get that, because castling queen side would be really awkward. You know, getting a rook here isn't that bad, but this is kind of not very safe and kind of ugly, an ugly place to have your king. So, but regardless, that is how I defended myself on that. And then he wants to save the horse. It still wasn't quite under duress just yet. I thought maybe he'd bring the rook out first, and then I would proceed to put my queen on the square that I initially intended to in the first place a couple turns ago, because it would be blocking the threat of the queen on there, and his horse would have still been on this square. But he didn't. He moved his horse out of the way and wants to try and attack mine, even though it's still defended. You know, re-ups his 2 attacks on this 1 pawn, so maybe he's thinking if I don't address it, then he brings his rook over and he's got 3 pieces kind of bearing down on me, but I am just going to address it this time. So if he just takes that little trade, he relieves me of all of his pressure, all of his pieces that are on these squares attacking my guys, so I no longer have to worry about him going after this piece, because there's nothing else going after it now. So by taking that trade, he gave me his own pawn, and not only did he give me his pawn, but he left these 2 guys completely isolated and doubled, so these guys really suck. That leaves me 2 options as far as taking his pawn. I'm going to take this opportunity to use it with the rook, just to get an extra piece out here. I'm going to want to double my rooks eventually, of course, as opposed to taking it with the queen, because then I just feel like I progress more this way. He takes that opportunity now to attack my queen. I no longer really care, since everything is defended at this point. So I sidestep 1 over. I'm still guarding the square, because now he's got 2 pieces bearing down on it again. But this guy is hanging, so I'm eyeing an attack on him. I'm also protecting this pawn so that my rook is free to roam somewhere else if I really want it to. And if I need to end up pushing this pawn just for whatever reason, I'm then eyeing another undefended pawn over there. So I'm kind of doing a lot of different things at once with that little sidestep, and mostly just keeping her out of harm's way. So he uses this opportunity to castle, to give himself this nice open file. He knew he couldn't castle kingside anymore, so he wanted to, it was the easiest way for him to connect his rooks, take care of the open space. I guess it works out. And now I desperately need to worry about his rook coming all the way down to d1. D1, because I'm white this game. If he does that, there's not a whole lot I can do about it except move my king over here, and then he just takes my bishop, and he's got 2 pieces on this line after taking my bishop, attacking my rook that can't move. So it'd be GG if I didn't address this immediate threat. So the only way I can really do it is by moving this bishop, so now my rook is guarding this whole bottom square. My bishop is now also guarding this pawn, so any threats that he had of his pieces on here are now officially gone, because he's not going to want to go for those trades if he's only going to get a pawn and a minor piece in exchange for some of his more powerful guys. So I know that's completely alleviated at this point, and it saves me quite a lot of hassle. I could have potentially moved my bishop to this square to block his path to the f2 pawn, and further defend this guy so that my queen would then be really free to do whatever she wants. But if my queen left too far, then the bishop's on guard. Oh no, the bishop's guarded by the rook. So either one was okay. I figured this one seems a little bit stronger as I'm attacking his queen, which he responds by bringing it down here. He's identified now the same hanging pawn that I identified, just on the opposite side, and I don't have a good way to really defend it at this time, unfortunately. It's also attacking this rook that is hanging, and he's continuing to keep all of his pressure down on this pawn. In addition, he's also enabling himself to potentially bring his rook all the way down here, put me in check, and it still has it defended by his queen. So he's got like 4 different attacks going on all at once, and I'm just like, holy shit, maybe this bishop development move was really bad. But honestly, it was really the only thing I could do. If I put it anywhere else, I just lost it, and if I didn't move it, then he goes down and takes a free bishop anyway. So after looking at it for quite some time, I decided that I'm going to move my queen up. It allows me to defend this d square. I I can't defend all of these attacks all at once, so I'm going to pick and choose for the moment. It also has the benefit of putting him in check, so that's going to force him to most likely just pop his king on over to this square, giving me one more turn to try and defend something else in this neighborhood. I haven't responded now, but I'm defending the rook, which is good. I'm defending this square down here. I no longer need to worry about these because, again, it's a bishop and a pawn versus a rook, so he wouldn't want to take that opportunity even if he could. Leaving the only thing I have left unguarded now is this guy. But then he made a weird play. He puts his rook here to block the path, pinning his rook. So now all of the threat that he's got going on in this area is now gone because he can't move his rook. So that gives me some time where I really want to think about it. I've now noticed that I have a hanging pawn on his side over here. I still have this one over here. So if I really feel safe, I can start going after a couple of these guys. If I do take this one, though, that breaks the pin, and then he's able to start kind of going after stuff. Or if I take this, then my rook is free. At the same time, if I went there, he took rook, I take rook, queen. So not too much I can really do along with that at this particular moment. But I do want to take my other free pawn option that I have for the moment. It does leave this free pawn over here for him to potentially take. But for the moment, I think I'm okay with that. If I can just reduce the number of stuff on the board, since I have the slight advantage right now, I think I'll be okay with that. And I'm also hoping that will cause him to forget that I'm still defending this piece, and maybe he goes down for it in a couple of turns. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm also thinking that if he does happen to take there, I'm close to getting some shenanigans down in this half, where I can just go up and start winning the game. But for the moment, his bishop is guarding that square. So I can't quite do that just yet. But he ends up moving his king. There was no real threat from the bishop at the moment, but it does allow him to break that pin that my queen had on him. So now his rook is active again. It's able to do some stuff, and I now have to find out more ways that I want to defend all of the attacks that he has going on. And there's really a couple ways that I think I can do it. I think if I move my rook over to here, obviously that blocks his path of his rook, it attacks his, so he has to respond with it, and I've got two pieces guarding. If I can trade rooks, that'll really help simplify things for me. I could bring my bishop all the way back here as well to help block it, since it's defended by multiple pieces, and the bishop would also then double up as defending this B pawn, or this B pawn down there. So either one of those I think would be an okay move, and I think would work out for me. But I opt that I want to keep the bishop out there on the flank and hope that he forgets it's still guarding this piece. So I choose to block it off with the rook. And what I didn't realize at the time is that this removes the defense of said bishop on that square and allows him to take that pawn now. My only real option is to head myself down up onto this diagonal, where I'm still kind of in a little bit of a hut. It's just a hut that got hit by a tornado, so it's kind of missing a ceiling and a couple of parts of the walls. And then he opts just to take this. That's kind of sitting there. There's nothing else he can really do because it's pinned to his king. He can't just move out of it. If he moves out of the way, I take it. He takes it back anyway. So he just makes my life easy by having him be the one in control of when it's gone and where it's taken. As opposed to being taken up in his face instead. And then I have to come right back down with my bishop, as that allows me to defend this B pawn over here. I was up 2 pawns. I dropped one when I let him go down here. I can't afford to drop the other one. These 2 pawns against his double isolated pawns is possibly going to be my key to victory if I can just simplify one other piece around here somewhere. I don't like this open diagonal. Thankfully, my pawn is guarding his bishop from having it. And if he were to try and take it with a queen, I don't care. I trade queens, and then I'll be fine from there. So he decides that now that in addition to me saving my pawn, if I'm going to be attacking his queen, he wants to just start attacking my queen as well. Because that's what he's looking at. Where's he going to go with this guy? He can't put it here. I guess he could put it there because we just trade queens at that point. But again, since I'm winning, if we trade queens, that gives me the advantage. He can run it he can try and run his queen away somewhere else and try and make some additional work if he activates his bishop on another square, tries to work out some combinations. Maybe that would work out for him. But instead he opted to attack my queen, and this is really weird to me. Because what he's thinking is that, oh, I'm going to take queen, he's going to take queen, and, you know, so what? So if that's really what he was planning or hoping for, why wouldn't he have just offered to trade queens in the first place here? It doesn't make much sense to me, since his goal was to trade queens, but then he goes there. Because what I don't think he accounted for is that I am guarding my queen and his queen is not guarded. So that allows me to take his, and then yeah, he can take mine right back, but I take his rook, and at that point it's just game over. All he has is a bishop and a bunch of really ugly pawns, whereas I would have 2 pieces, more pawns and better pawns, and he just can't win at that point. So because he realized that he can't win at that point if he does it, he takes my bishop instead to give him at least something to potentially threaten me with. You know, maybe if I really screw up, I can let him get some back rank shenanigans by him getting a bishop on the dark diagonal and his rook on the bottom, and somehow all of my pieces are elsewhere and yet not accomplishing any task. I don't know. But that one move just single-handedly kind of lost him the game, as we see such a huge, 1.4 points, and then all of a sudden up to 8, and then up to 19. So that one move just ruined everything, because he was just trying to trade queens, which still is an advantage to me anyway. When all he had to do is trade queens there, he keeps that 1.4, but he didn't, so don't feel bad. I go to put him in check just to get his king to move, and then, oh yeah, take his rook and just really, really ruin the rest of his day. At this point, he's got nothing to do. These pawns can't accomplish anything. This bishop has nothing to really accomplish whatsoever. So I start to pin this king in here, blocking all of his retreating squares. He's just pushing random pawns. I decide to defend these 2 with my little pawn. He's just doing random stuff, and I end the game. So it was a very good game. There was a lot of times where he had quite a lot of pressure and a lot of different attacks going after this piece and that piece and this piece and that piece all at the same time, and I'm just like, whoa, calm down, cowboy, let me catch up for a moment. Even though I was technically winning in material the whole game, he did have quite a lot of good pressure. I was able to stave some of it off, and even though I did make a mistake to give some of it back too, I didn't make the mistake of giving my queen up. And that was all she wrote. It was quick sinking for him at that point. He put on some concrete shoes, I guess. So I ended up winning both of these games against this guy, and I hope you enjoyed this one. So thank you everybody for watching, and I can't wait to take another look at some of my more games that I want to put up here too. So take it easy, everybody. Catch you later. Peace.